All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're building the ultimate blueprint for a modern resume. You know, the kind that actually gets you seen. If you've ever sent an application out and felt like it just disappeared into a black hole, well, you're in the right place.
So first, let's start with a pretty shocking number, 75%. That's how many resumes, according to a ton of research, are never even seen by a human being. They get knocked out by software before they ever get a chance. We're talking 3 out of every 4 applications. It's wild.
So that leads to the big question, right? How do you build a resume that actually makes it into that top 25%? The one that lands on a recruiter's desk and gets you that interview. Because let's be honest, it's not just about what you've done, it's about how you present it.
And here's our game plan for getting it done. First, we'll look at the 3 big hurdles every resume has to clear. Then, we'll dive into how to beat the resume reading robots. After that, we'll build the actual blueprint for your resume, section by section. We'll cover how to write with real impact, and finally, what it takes to impress an actual person.
Okay, let's start with the big picture. You have to understand that every single time you hit submit, your resume enters this 3-stage gauntlet. And you got to build it to win at each stage, because each one is looking for something totally different. So meet your 3 gatekeepers. First up is the applicant tracking system, the ATS. We're just going to call it the machine. Its only job is to filter. If you pass, you move on to the recruiter, the skimmer, who will give your resume maybe 7 seconds of their time. Seriously. And if you survive that, you get to the hiring manager, the expert, who actually reads it for detail. Your resume has to be built to impress all 3. All right, let's tackle that first hurdle, the machine. This is where most people fail, and it has absolutely nothing to do with how qualified they are. This is a purely technical challenge. It's about beating the bots. So what even is an ATS? Well, it's basically software that does the first round of cuts. And you have to remember, it can't think. It doesn't understand context or see your potential. It just scans for specific keywords and a format it can understand. You've got to speak its language, or you're out. And this right here is the perfect example. On the left, you've got a super clean, simple, single-column resume. The machine can read that, no problem. But on the right, that's one of those fancy templates you see online, with 2 columns, a photo, graphics. To an ATS, that's just a mess of code it can't parse. And you know what that means? Instant rejection. So the rules are actually pretty simple. You want to do things like use standard fonts, think Arial, Calibri, and really standard headers like professional experience. What you absolutely don't want to do is use tables, columns, images, or any fancy logos. This isn't about being boring. It's about making sure the machine can actually read your information. It's a simple choice that makes all the difference. And here's the second piece of the puzzle for beating the bot: keywords. The ATS is basically a matching engine. It's looking for the exact phrases from the job description. So if the company asks for global supply chain management, your resume better say global supply chain management, not just handled logistics. You have to mirror their language. And having a dedicated skills section makes it super easy for the bot to find those keywords and give you a passing grade. Okay, so once you've figured out how to get past the machine, it's time to actually build the thing. We need a structure that's going to grab and hold a human's attention. So let's lay out the architectural plan for a resume that really performs. This is the winning formula, right here and in this exact order. You start with a professional summary to hook them in. Then your skills section, which is great for keywords. Then comes the big one, professional experience. After that, education. And finally, you can add any high-impact extras. Oh, and a quick word of advice. Never, ever list a skill you couldn't explain inside and out during an interview. It's a huge red flag. Think of your professional summary as your 30-second elevator pitch. It goes right at the very top. All you need is 2 or 3 really sharp sentences that say who you are, what you can do, and why you're the perfect person for this specific job. And yes, that means you have to tailor it every single time you apply. No excuses. Now we get to the heart of the resume, your experience. You always want to list it in reverse chronological order, so your most recent job is first. And here's a key rule. No more than 5 or 6 bullet points for any single role. Any more than that, and you're just creating a wall of text that nobody will read. The whole goal here is to show off your achievements, not just list your daily duties. And that brings us to maybe the single most important part of this whole thing. It's the skill of turning a boring list of responsibilities into powerful, exciting achievements. This is what makes a recruiter stop skimming and start reading. Yeah, this quote from Marcia Hebert just nails it.
When you write responsible for, all you're saying is what you were supposed to do. It doesn't prove you actually did it or that you did it well. We've got to swap those passive phrases for strong action verbs that show what you actually accomplished. Let's look at a real-world example. The before is just so weak. Responsible for training new employees. Okay. And? Now look at the after. Trained 4 new hires and improved team productivity by 18% within Q3. I mean, come on. Which one tells a better story? The numbers give you undeniable proof of your value. So, how do you do this? It's easy. Just use this simple 3-step method. First, what was the situation before you did anything? Second, what was the specific action you took? And third, what was the measurable result? What got better? This little framework helps you turn any accomplishment into a hard-hitting, quantified bullet point. But you might be thinking, what if I don't have a ton of professional experience? No problem. The principle is exactly the same. You have to show, not just tell. A resume-worthy project is anything that demonstrates your skills in action. Maybe it's a freelance gig, a contribution to an open-source project, or even an app you built that actually has downloads. The key is to prove that you can apply what you know. So let's say you've done it. You beat the bots, you've structured your resume perfectly, and it lands in front of a human. This is the final stage. You have literally seconds to make an impression on the recruiter and enough substance to convince the hiring manager. And of course, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, AI. Should you use tools like ChatGPT to help write your resume? Well, it can be a really powerful assistant, but if you're not careful, it can also get you rejected in a heartbeat. This comment from a recruiter on Reddit says it all. The biggest giveaway of a lazy, AI-generated resume is that the bullet points are super vague and generic. Recruiters can spot that stuff from a mile away. So here's the lesson. Use AI to help you brainstorm or polish your writing, but never let it do the writing for you. You have to fine-tune every single line to make sure it's specific and, true. And that's it. When you put it all together, you have one single document that's in total alignment with the entire hiring process. It's clean and keyword-rich for the ATS machine. It's scannable and full of achievements for the recruiter. And it's packed with quantified proof for the hiring manager. It takes every single box. So, we've laid out the entire blueprint. Your resume isn't just a piece of paper anymore. It's a strategic tool designed to open doors. The only question left is, what story are you going to build with it?